Hey there. This guide will explain the thought process of a high-level support player in various situations. If you're looking to improve your game sense with any support character, or are interested in general thinking of one to outplay the enemy or to work better with a teammate, keep watching. Hello guys and welcome to the dojo. We created this episode in collaboration with Barcx, who peaked at 4,638 playing support. We're going to dive deep into the mind of a high-level solo queue player to see how to make decisions during different situations and how you can profit from them. Welcome Barcx. Thank you for helping us in creating this guide. Let's go ahead and start with a short introduction.
Hey there, I'm Barcx. I started playing Overwatch in August 2016 and I've been maining support since Season 3. I've been mainly focusing on heroes like Mercy, Lucio, Moira and Ana, and less of a Zen Symmetra. I think that the best way to grind and climb in solo queue in Overwatch is to abuse your enemy's lack of game sense and bully them to a point where they feel so pressured that they can't even focus on what's happening in front of them. And yes, supports can do that and they're probably the best at it out of all other heroes.
Alright, we're delighted to have you. A quick heads up to all Mercy players out there. While this guide can prove to be a useful resource to any player, most of what is said here does not apply to Mercy. This is due to her unique playstyle that's an entirely different game and environment compared to other supports. Now before we start with the core of this guide, we need to explain the vocabulary that we're going to be using. The first concept that you need to grasp is peeling. Peeling means helping your second support or stationary DPS when they're in trouble. It's done best as Lucio or Mercy because they can play hyper-aggressive while still being able to get back to stationary teammates and help them when they get dived. For example, fighting off the enemy flankers while amping heals for your Ana, etc.
Very well. The next thing you need to wrap your head around is kiting. Kiting refers to staying out of range of an enemy while attacking them. This is generally done by alternating between moving away from the enemy and attacking them, and using your mobility abilities, if you have them, to create distance when the enemy uses theirs to close the gap. This is generally done best against characters like Winston, Genji, and Tracer while playing Zen or Ana, or something else that is stationary.
Splendid. The next is about positioning with different supports. Positioning could differ between supports, but some things are worth mentioning. Aggressiveness and passiveness is a significant thing that needs to be talked about. Being too passive or too aggressive as a support hero never really works, and here's why. If you play too passive, you don't take the opportunities that the enemy team gives you to carry. And if you play too aggressive, you don't wait for opportunities and look for those aggressive plays, which will eventually result in your death. In short, play safe when necessary, but take all the chances the game gives you. Even if only 8 out of 10 work, it's still a risk worth taking.
Lastly, we need to talk about picking 1v1s as support characters. Picking 1v1s as a support character is more comfortable than it seems. You have to make sure that some conditions are met when you try to duel a DPS hero. First of all, the enemy must be out of position, which means that they are not in line of sight of their team and cannot get healed/peeled to while you fight them. Secondly, the enemy must not have full HP and all abilities should be down, or else you put yourself in risk that you really shouldn't take. The life of a DPS hero is by no means equivalent to the life of a support hero.
Well, now that we know the basic concepts, let's iterate over a ton of questions that can arise during a game and put them in context or answer them. This should give everybody a good understanding of how a support player should think in some instances. In case you have any questions regarding the topic that we touch here, feel free to leave a comment below or join our Discord server and ask them even more in depth. Let's begin, shall we?
Yes, okay, the questions are going to be grouped by topics, ordered by importance. While we cannot possibly cover all problems that can come up during your games, these should give you a good idea of how to think in a pressured environment. Let's start with the most important topic, the thoughts related to yourself while supporting your team.
Questions related to yourself are the most important because your first and most important goal is to stay alive to do your job in order to help your team complete the objective. These make the foundation of our support thought process, so pay keen attention to this section.
Let's begin with the first one. Am I in a position that doesn't put me in immediate danger? As a support, your goal is to be able to support your teammates and enable them as much as possible while staying alive yourself. That means that if you are in a way too risky position up to the point where it puts you in immediate danger, you might die any second while having nothing to do about it, then you should reposition yourself as fast as possible. Pull back to safety towards terrain cover and your teammates, making sure that you make it out alive.
Next up is, am I able to benefit both myself and my team from this position? The meaning of this question is rather complex, but easy to wrap your head around. A support hero should be able to charge their ultimate as fast as possible, mostly because these are the ultimates that allow the team to win the most teamfights, without relying on the enemy team's misplay. An ideal position with, let's say, a Lucio, is a position where you can heal and speed your team and spam the choke with your basic attack to gain ultimate charge, rather than just spamming choke or staying in the back and not shooting at all. Same goes for all other supports. You need to experience them or watch high-level players and pay attention to what they're doing and where they're standing.
The next question is, where is the nearest health pack? Making sure that you always know where the nearest health pack is crucial to staying alive as a support. If you get dived as Ana or Zen, you should look to kite back to the nearest health pack while requesting assistance from your peeler support. And if you're playing a mobile support and trying to pick a 1v1 with a DPS hero, it's always good to know that you have a place to fall back to and heal up from near you, and knowing how and where to access it.
Sticking with the topic of positioning, the next query is where the nearest escape route is. Similarly to the last answer, you should always have a good idea about how to escape if things go sideways. Knowing where to kite is always important, and it's a plan you should always have in the back of your head. Keep escape routes in mind at all times and pick the HP packs on the way.
The next one is, can I easily escape to cover or safety of any kind from this position? Whenever you try picking fights with a DPS hero or engaging with your team, make sure you play it aggressively but also have a good idea about where you can peek or take cover to keep you alive, then reinitiate. Also, cover is perfect for heroes like Ana, Zen, or Lucio mid-team fights because peeking is essential to keeping your team alive while not giving away your position. Staying out in the open with nowhere to cover yourself is never a good idea.
Following up on our next query, if this position is risky, is the reward I get from succeeding worth the risk? Overwatch is a game that's all about risk and reward. The act of playing an off-meta hero can be a high risk, high reward. The positions are the same. Let's say you play Zenyatta and you want to get a cheeky kill on the Mercy who's standing right in the open. To do that, you must go forward and take a small risk of getting damaged with a slight chance of going down in the process. So the question stands, do I take the shot or do I give up? If you're not confident enough in your mechanics, you should probably fall back and look for another opportunity in a safer position. But if you're confident that you can do it, definitely take the risk, unless it's a sure death.
The next one is about peeling for your second support, which is incredibly important in ranked and scrims and will be of great value the higher you get in the ladder. From where do I fight the enemy flanker if it happens that they dive my Zenyatta or Ana? What is the best possible position to take to be able to peel quickly and effectively? Use these questions to pick the best position, but pay attention to the flow of the game and change if needed.
Next up is, can I visualize a winning scenario from this position for the next team fight? You should try imagining a winning scenario before the fight even starts so you don't get lost. Let's imagine that you're playing Ana on Dorado second point defense, and you're standing on the high ground. If you can predict the diva successfully initiating onto the high ground with her Mercy, and to be able to sleep that Mercy on the high ground after she gets out of position for a split second, that's it. You won the team fight, no questions asked. Always be a couple steps ahead. This helps in deciding how to act in the upcoming fight.
A significant one is, what do I have to do to win this fight? Same as the last question, it's all about outplaying your enemies and abusing their lack of game sense, essentially bullying them. You want to think about how you can initiate or counter-initiate the enemy in a way that will put pressure on them. Try to look for openings, try to learn their style, and abuse any weaknesses that you can spot. This is hard to do, but benefits you greatly as a player.
Last but not least, what cooldowns do I have to use this fight? This also directly correlates to the last question. What do you need to use to outplay your enemies in order to win the team fight? Think about your abilities and their cooldowns actively. These CDs are mostly Ana sleep darts, Lucio's boop, and other things that will negatively affect the enemy. Make sure that you're not wasting them too early and that you're not banking them for too long. Alright, next up we're going to talk about questions related to your support buddy. It's imperative that you make sure to keep each other alive by giving a helping hand if needed.
The first question is, according to the enemy team comp, will the second support on my team be pressured or not? When looking at the enemy team comp, that's the first thing you have to ask yourself. If the enemy is running, let's say, Dive, Winston, Diva, Genji, Tracer, Mercy, Zen, then know your Zenyatta is going to have a bad time. Therefore, play around them. Keep line of sight, play smart, and peel effectively. Don't try to be a hero. Play the front line if necessary, but know how to get back to your other support player quickly. Protect your second support player if that's what's needed.
After deciding on the amount of pressure you'll likely receive in the backline, the next question is, do I need to peel for my support? This question is somewhat situational. If your support is getting jumped, the answer to that question is yes. In case the enemy divers are dead, then you can go for a bit more of an aggressive position. that could allow you to benefit yourself more. Big damage, ult charge, etc. Basically investing your kit in doing something other than heals, making sure that the enemy team benefits from your utility as well.
Continuing with the peeling topic, you need to ask yourself, can I peel for my support from this position? This question is pretty self-explanatory. Just ask yourself if you can peel for your support from this position faster than the enemy can kill them. This again is a question that should pop up every 2 seconds. If you are not in a good position, adjust. Alright, the next topic is about priorities. A few questions, but they are kind of important.
Healing is a priority as a support, and you need to decide who you need to heal first. To know who to heal first, rather than healing the one with the least HP, heal the one who is in the most danger. For example, if your Rhine has 100 HP and is behind cover, while your McCree has 150 HP but is fighting in the front line right now, heal and pocket your McCree. Start alternating between him and Rhine only when the McCree is topped.
Another vital part of the priorities is asking, is there someone that needs help? Knowing how to judge if a person needs help is extremely important. Just ask yourself a few questions. If the answer to any one of those is a yes, help them. The first, are they under extreme pressure? The second, are they in a situation where they are unable to run away from, such as a McCree 1v1ing a full HP pocketed Winston? The third, will it take me too long to help, like playing Zen in the front line where your An is being dived in the back line? This is an unfortunate situation that's probably your fault, but you can't do anything about it.
We're making some really good progress here with the questions. The next topic we're going to talk about is about team-related queries. These are important because without the side, there is no one to support. Let's dive into the issue.
Let's start with what can I communicate to my team to win the next team fight. Communication is not a necessity, but it will help in leading the team fight in a better direction. You can communicate 3 things that will make a difference. 1. Information, such as enemy positions and ultimate charge. 2. Strats, such as engage from far left with the Pharah in high ground on Nimbani, or more complex stuff like some of the topics that I am covering on my channel. So if you are interested in that, click the card now. 3. Ultimate management, like use Grav and Twin Dragons with damage boost to outdamage Transcendence.
Well said. An interesting question is, how can I shot call my way into winning this match? Shot calling and team leading is incredibly important as a support player. It basically means making strats and managing your team's ultimates to get the most value out of them. An example of a good shot call on, let's say, Blizzard World, is asking your team to swap to Monkey, D.Va, Mercy, Zen, Junk, and Widow. After you cap the first point, ask Junkrat to go to the left room with D.Va and try to get a neat flank with your team fighting on the payload. The Zen transitions to group up on point with big damage coming in from both directions, and Winston diving high ground for completely free because of the huge backline pressure. This can seem complex, but if you know the game and the meta, helping the team with good calling wins games.
You also need to ask yourself if you need to try leading this push or stay back and let your team do their thing while you do your own job. Leading a push is kinda tricky to do without an ultimate. When you have it, make sure to call to your teammates, not let it go to waste. Some ultimates are fit for initiating, like Ana's Nano or Moira's ult, but you should not try leading a push with Transcendence, as most of its potential will go to waste.
Once again, well said. The next question is, what part of my kit can benefit the team the most right now? This is a big question because it's incredibly important to manage your kit in a way that will benefit you most, like using heal or damage orb as Moira. Make sure that you are always aware of what's happening around you. If it's still safe to poke and do damage, use the damage orb. However, if the team started getting closed for a fight, keep it until some allies are low. These decisions matter a lot, and they start adding up during the course of a game.
The following question should come up a lot of times during a match. Am I in line of sight with most of my teammates? This is just a yes or no question. If the answer is no, get in line of sight with them fast. And no, I do not mean you always have to be in line of sight, but you need to not be too far away or behind a big wall hiding from your teammates. Make sure that you can reach them if they are being damaged or pressured, and vice versa.
Next up, ask yourself what are the things that you need to focus on. As support, you'll always have to multitask a whole lot, so make sure you know what to focus on when you're playing the game. Sometimes you'll need to focus on doing damage and creating space while also shot calling. And sometimes you'll have to heal your team while not doing damage at all, and playing in the backline and staying quiet to focus on your positioning more. But how can you decide well? Record your games and review them. Deaths are the best indicators. Look for your teammates going down in quick succession or you dying and trace back the mistake that you committed. You can learn a lot from reviewing yourself every once in a while.
That's unquestionably true. Following with the last question on this topic is, what is the win condition for this fight and how can I affect it? This question is incredibly important due to a win condition always being there, existing. Before every single team fight and every team fight you will ever experience, you will have a win condition. Sometimes it's just a bit more hidden. Knowing what a win condition is in a specific situation and what it is specifically mid-game is important. A win condition could be something like nanoing the Blading Genji to wipe out 4 people with Ana, or you will not be able to win this fight. Look for the things that you can change in the course of the next fight. If you have some snipers, the win condition might be getting important picks. Support them. Understand the team and understand the match in order to have a good guess at these. Alrighty, we are continuing this guide with the last topic, enemy related questions. This helps you understand your position and value in an upcoming fight, as well as giving you right directions on how to use your kit.
First question. If the fight is starting right now and I'm playing a support that can deal damage, how can I alpha the enemy flex support? You'll often have to get in a good position to allow you to harass and kill the enemy support, such as a corner as Zenyatta, or a good cover as Ana that allows you to land a nade, or a couple of good shots on where their enemy support might be standing. While this is usually the job of the DPS, if you're in the right position, your input can change the outcome of the team fight. Look for opportunities and claim them.
Yep, that was a great question. The next one is, how are the enemy ultimates doing? Always track the ultimates of your enemies. As a support in ranked and scrims, it is 100% your job. You will always have to know if their Zarya has Grav or if their Genji has Blade, and to see if your team is feeding or getting fed. No one else will do it or be able to do it better than a support that always has the best overview of fights. Just don't keep it to yourself, communicate it to your team. Knowing common responses to ults is important too, like calling for a spread if you expect a Zarya Hanzo combo, or calling focus on the enemy Zen if you want to use yours.
Okay, let's continue with how can I pressure the enemy as the support hero I'm playing while still maintaining to be a support. To put pressure on the enemy Ana as Ana, try landing a shot or two on her every couple of seconds. This will make her think that she's being pressured so that she has to focus you rather than giving heals to her team. Sometimes it's just enough to pressure the enemy main support to make them play badly. You can do the same with Zen and just spam in the general direction of the enemy with Moira or Lucio.
Well said. The next question is, what are the enemy's goals and how do I prevent them from happening? Goals can vary from only capturing the objective to, let's say, killing the Zen to get a successful Grav, like a win condition. So, if you know that the enemy has Grav, make sure to peel for your Zen and make sure your whole team does too. This topic is really complex, but you should get this idea already.
Alright, the last question is, does Zarya use Bubble? If the enemy Zarya used Bubble, you should make sure to call it out to your team. It's one of the most important and informative calls that you can make that lets your team know that you can go more aggressive on flankers and people that play unsafe. Capitalize on wasted abilities. These give you the best chance to push in and earn some easy kills. Well, that was a very long guide. We sincerely hope that you enjoyed every question. In case you still have something to discuss, head over to our Discord server and join us. We can also help you get better with professional coaching that you can get access to by supporting the channel on Patreon. Click the link right now. A big thanks again for Barcx for the tremendous amount of help for this guide. Say bye.
Goodbye, my dudes. It was my pleasure.
Alright, see you guys in the next one.